right. We are recording. All right. Thanks for joining the Make Guitar podcast. It is February 20th as we're recording this. Um, it is a beautiful day in California. Actually, I don't even know. Have you been outside, Mitch?
I took a walk today. It was pretty good. The weather was pretty good. It wasn't great. It was a little chilly, but like it was kind of nice out anyway.
Oh, good. Well, it's
Yeah.
always kind of nice out. Or, it's the weather. We get what we get.
Yeah. I went and I bought a couple bags of frozen dumplings and frozen pot stickers.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it was good. I was like, these are great. I'm gonna cook these up, That was my task today.
Very good. Yeah, my task for today was just to work on my song.
Oh man.
And
It's the first week I haven't had my song ready by the time we recorded.
Yeah, but you've been pretty good about getting your song done every week, so you shouldn't feel bad.
Yeah, I was having a hard time getting it done. And then I had a couple other projects this week too, so they kind of took away song time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. I had a little additional social time this week. It was the Chinese New Year parade in Chinatown, so I had to go to that last night instead of working on my song.
Gung Hei Pat Choi.
Gong Hei Fat Choi, everybody! It's the year of the tiger.
Oh, you're the top. Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, we should do the Tiger podcast. There's like Tiger Moms and right? We should do Tiger podcast. Tiger
Yeah.
podcasting. I don't know
Yeah.
what that would be though, to be honest.
Um. Well, in any case, we should put it on TikTok because TikTok is owned by China.
Yeah, we should do it. Would be popular everywhere if we put it on
Yeah.
TikTok. We'd be popular everywhere if we were on TikTok.
Maybe if we wore like tiger, like fuzzy hats or something with ears.
Yeah. We should do that. That'd be
Right. Yeah. So this podcast is off to a great start.
great. Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally serious.
Yeah. What are you up to this week?
Well, I worked on another project, so I got my project done. Um, what else? I was waiting on an order, so I ordered some parts. I needed some more wire, so I got some wire. And I'm going to show the wire that I got. This is the wire I got right here. It's some
Oh,
weird
nice little box. Plusivo.
placebo. I don't know what the brand name is, but it's a bunch of wire. It's like, I don't know, 30 feet of wire on 6 different spools, right? And I was like, this is great, right? It was like 15 bucks. But the thing that got me, see, what these people are doing is inside the box, they gave me a bunch of these like heat shrink tubing things and some of these zip ties. And so I was like, man, this is like, and they threw in this like wire stripper too, which is this is kind of a piece of junk. It doesn't really work very well, but the heat shrink tubing, man, I love this stuff. And so now I don't have to buy any because it came with the wire, right?
Do you use that in your pedals? The heat shrink
Some,
tubing?
yeah, sometimes, not always, it depends, but if I need a piece now I have it, right?
Yeah, I have a little bit for guitar projects. But yeah, I need more.
Yeah, so anyway, so I got this wire in the mail and I was happy to find that they gave me the heat shrink tubing and the little zip ties.
Yeah,
So
that's very nice.
I was like, yeah, you guys are speaking my language here.
Excellent. And that's the solid core wire, right?
Yeah, I bought the
70.
solid core wire. I prefer that. It's easier to
Yeah.
work with. I feel like in the long haul might not be as durable,
hmm
but I think if you're not using a battery and you put everything in the box and nobody's opening the box, it's probably gonna last forever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think especially for pedals, that would be great. Like threading braided wire into any kind of an aperture sucks. Like it always just frays. Even if I tin it first, it always frays.
Yeah, or if you tin it, then all of a sudden maybe there's a little blob of solder on there and then it's too big to fit.
Yeah, right.
Like that happens to me. I mean, I have some um, stranded wire too, but I prefer this when I'm building pedals. I like this.
Yeah, cool. Where'd you get it? Did you get it at AliExpress?
I'm sorry, I got it at Amazon.
Ooh, well, Amazon does carry things for other people, like other mom and pop shops. So you can't throw them out wholesale, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of have everything,
Yeah.
you know. So anyway, so I got that, and then I was working on this pedal.
Nice.
This is this tremolo.
Mhm.
Um, it was a project from this. I think we talked about this before, but there was this guy, Nicholas Boscarelli,
Mhm.
and he had a newsletter that back in the old days, like in like 1999, right, or 2000, right? He had when the internet was like kind of a new thing and people were not doing a lot on the internet, right? There wasn't Amazon, there was no Google yet, right? And he had a newsletter, so you kind of had to just search the web and kind of find these things, right? And he had a newsletter called Stompboxology, and he had a book called the Stompbox Cookbook, right? And this was before the Stompbox DIY thing was so huge and all the, boutique pedal companies were out there, right? That you couldn't, just the information wasn't there, but he was providing this information, and his thing never caught on. It wasn't popular, but I bought a couple of his newsletters, right? Maybe like four of them, maybe five, right? I bought a few copies of it, right? And it basically he just sent you a 3-ring binder, and then the newsletters were just printed sheets of paper that were punched for the 3-ring binder. So you just put them in the binder. I still have the binder, um, but it had a bunch of great projects in it. There were some really cool projects, and there was one issue called Going Discrete, which was all about building stuff with transistors, which is like gold for pedal people. Like if you're into building pedals, like they use a lot of transistors and understanding how transistors work, right? So anyway, I've been trying to build some of the projects from those Stompboxology things, and I made a circuit board for this tremolo that's in there, and this is it right here. It was called Tremolomatic 22, like XX11, right?
That's
So
a great name.
I put Trem 22 on here as the name. I made a mistake. I etched this box, and the like I did it from the circuit board from the top, but that it's flipped over, so these two names are not in the right spot.
Mhm.
I kind of reversed them. So I got out the label maker and I just put the labels on here over the names that I etched on there,
Yeah, I like it. It's very, like punk rock looking.
Yeah, yeah. And then I plugged it in, and the light lit up. So I was like, yes. And so I plugged into the amp, and then the dry signal was working, the bypass, and then I turned it on, and I could hear the signal with a little bit of boost and a little like a buffer and a boost. So I knew that the signal was going through the pedal,
Mhm.
right? But the tremolo wasn't working. And so I kind of looked at it really closely. I took some measurements. I was figuring that LFO was not cycling, right? Right. So I measured it has a couple op amps that run the low frequency oscillator, like the modulation, right? So I checked that and I could see that it wasn't changing, So I posted a question to DIY stomp boxes, and of course, like a user there, like within an hour, like another gym said, like, hey, you need to have a connection here between the bias that's like half voltage and the oscillator. Like there's a spot where it needed a connection that I had missed. So I was able to fix it with just one jumper, and then it worked. I'll show you a
That's
picture.
awesome.
So here's a
That's
couple.
amazing that people respond. I mean, that they're monitoring the thing all the time, and they look at your problem and they respond.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are really smart. They're just like, in a way, and the funny thing is, in a way, I feel like it's like Wordle for them,
Mhm.
and they're just like, oh, it's a little, someone posts a problem and they're like, oh, I could figure this out, and they solve it. I have another thing I'll show you here because you do web stuff too, but because I have a weird web situation that I don't know where it's coming from. But
Oh, okay.
anyway, so I'm working on a blog post for this, right? So here's the circuit boards that I made right there. So there's a circuit board there, back side, front side, right? And then here's the build that I did. So like the switches and the pots and the LED all mount to the board, right? So from the top, from the backside, it looks like this, right? This cap right here didn't quite fit the space there, so I kind of bent it over and it fits like this, right? But there's the pots, and then the LED is right here, you know, so it fits in there pretty good. And then like maybe from inside the box, you know, it would look like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So since the jacks kind of overlap the pots right here, you can't use a super tall jack, so it doesn't work with the, I realize it doesn't fit these jacks right here, you know, these big ones with the plastic enclosure, but it'll fit like this kind right here,
Right.
you know, or it'll fit like these open frame ones, you know.
Okay. That's probably what most people have.
Yeah, so that kind of worked, and then to like the problem I had was like if you look at the back side here, can you see like this little jumper? I just had to solder a little piece of wire
Yep.
across these pins, and then everything started working. So I just took a little wire lead that I snipped off of a LED and just bent it and kind of soldered one end and then kind of bent it and soldered the other side.
So do you feel like you have to um, the printed circuit board? You have to like get a new um, get a new run.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I got to do that because if I put it on the shared service, so anybody could build them, it's like I'm offering to the community here, right? You know,
Right.
so if I make it so anybody can build it, like I don't want them to have them have to repair it. Like I could fix that and then upload the repaired version, you know. I had this idea too. I posted the DIY stomp boxes after I got the solution for this. I posted it there and I said like, hey, if anybody wanted a free circuit board, just DM me and I'll mail it to you. So if anybody wants to build it, I have this secret like ulterior motive is that if I post it there, maybe a couple people will build it and they might suggest some modifications or improvements, right?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So we can kind of outsource, you know, or kind of crowdsource um, the project, you know, because that Nicholas Boscarelli and Stompboxology is gone. So, you know, yeah, and nobody knows where too. The funny thing is that it came up on the Stompbox forum maybe around 2005 or 2007 or something around there, right? People were like, "Oh, whatever happened to Stompboxology?" And then there was a big discussion. There's a whole thread about it, and people were like, "Well, maybe we can all chip in and hire a private investigator to find this guy, right?" Well, it's
Did
just
they
like
do it?
like everybody's really into something, and then you find out about someone that did this thing like a long time ago, and you get curious, like, where is this person? What are they
Yeah.
doing now? What like, and then nothing ever came of it. Nobody could find him. You know, he just disappeared. You know.
I wonder if they did hire a private eye
I
to.
think they did, and people talked about it, and they did like a web search, and people kind of searched the address, and they said like his address was like some kind of storefront in Colorado, but it was not. He wasn't there now or at the time, so he just kind of disappeared. Nobody could find him. You know, Nicholas Boscarelli. You never know. It could have been like a pseudonym too, right? Because
Right.
people author stuff under other names. You know, so who knows? You know. But I remember the long and short of it was nobody could find him. You know,
Unsolved, crazy unsolved mysteries of the internet.
of the stomp box world
Yeah.
in particular. So
Yeah.
what are you doing? You got any projects going on?
Well, I have a lot of projects that I haven't really made any headway. I just, got busy with other things. But I was looking at a couple different schematics for the Mustang, and I wasn't. I'm kind of caught between this one guy's mod and um, and a more straightforward schematic that works, but it's not going to have noise canceling when you're in the single coil positions. But the other one that I found there was no way to turn off the switch. Like if you switched the switches to the off position, then it goes into like some serial mode or something like that, which is
Hmm.
cool if you want that. But I think I want to be able to turn off the pickups for that, that stutter effect.
Oh yeah. You could use the effects loop. The
Right?
moments in the
Yeah, I
effects
could do
loop.
that.
Just
Yeah.
don't put anything in the effects loop, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that one, I think if it was me on the Mustang, I wouldn't, the stutter effect would not be a thing for me because of those sliding switches would be hard to work with, you know?
Hmm.
Though maybe I'd change my mind to, after if I tried it out, but I think like I'd want like a bigger switch for that, like the toggle, like those big toggle switches, would be perfect.
Right. Yeah.
I guess you don't want to drill the Mustang because I was going to say you could use one of those video game buttons.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to figure out where to put it on the Mustang. Um, it's kind of a smaller body, and
You could do a smaller switch, and if there was any space, like you could on the pick guard, you could put it somewhere. If you drilled a hole, you could get a smaller switch and put it on the pick guard, like maybe towards the lower horn.
yeah, a lot of the newer Mustangs have a pickup selector switch right here, so I'd have to route something, like a channel to there, but um, there's definitely room.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just drill it with a Forstner bit and get like a small momentary switch, like a round one.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I was gonna put an order in for those because I want to put one on my white guitar as well.
I have a couple, I'll just give you one. I bought a bunch. I bought like you have to buy like five, so I bought like five.
Are they those big video game ones?
I have some of those and I have some small ones too.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna get some of the small ones.
Yeah. I'm not even using the small ones. I got them and then I thought like I might use them, but then I like the big one better. So I still have the small one. So I'll give you one. And I got like five, so it's not a big deal. The other thing you could do if there's space, you might be able to put it between the two sliding switches at the top because there's that channel. So if there was enough space between the two sliding switches, you could just fit it right in between them.
Yeah, actually, what's between the two switches is the screws that mount the switch to the pick guard. So there's no room in between.
Oh yeah, they're too close together. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's enough room on the outside, you could put it on the top on the outside. Maybe not though.
No, they're pretty close to the top of the pick guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need a stutter switch on all of my guitars, but
Yeah, you don't. I don't
no.
need one either. I put one on though just for fun.
Yeah, yeah. You have that like a is it like a Kramer or like a Ibanez or something like that? Like kind of a strat shaped guitar. It's
Yeah, I put one on there. I started and I haven't finished putting that together, but I routed or drilled a hole with a Forstner bit for the switch, but I just haven't put it together. I put one on the baritone too.
oh really?
And that one I have it wired up so that works.
Okay. You also put one on the Stage Master, and so
Yeah,
we need to work on the Stage Master at some point.
yeah. I didn't finish that. I gave it to you, but I routed it for it, or I
Right.
drilled it out. I took the Forstner bits. You know what I did is I drilled it from the top with a smaller bit, and then I drilled from the back with the larger bit because the way the switch goes in, it takes a small hole and there's kind of a big plastic nut that goes on the backside, so it needs a bigger hole. To
Right.
keep them aligned, I drilled a small, like 1/8 inch hole all the way through. And then that way it gave me a channel, like something to center the Forstner bit with, right? So I centered it at the top and drilled part way through. And then I went to the back and drilled until it met the first hole. And then that kind of worked out well.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it made them kind of line up.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, what else? Trying to think what else was I working on, you know? I think that's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. I've been, shopping for kits. I was actually thinking about building a tremolo pedal.
Oh,
Looking
dude, I
at
should
the,
give you one of these circuit boards. You should build one of these.
uh, yeah, I'd do that. I probably have to order some parts,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you have some boards you want to get rid of,
I have a few. I have a few that need a jumper to work, but
yeah, I
this
can make
sounds
a
pretty
jumper.
good. This sounds pretty good. It's got an interesting sound. It's not like it's just vanilla like tremolo, you know?
Hmm.
The switch switches between like square wave and a triangle wave. And then this shape knob right here is for the triangle wave. And so it kind of tilts the wave. So if you have a triangle, it tilts it this way into a saw or a saw this direction. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that's
Right?
cool. Have you plugged that into your oscilloscope?
No, I didn't do that, but that's what it's supposed to do. I don't know. I just
Okay.
took their word for it. Um, this is interesting in that the tremolo effect is handled by there's a chip in there. It's the 3086. It's a like a transistor array, right? So it actually just has 5 transistors on this one dip, right? So there's a 14 pin chip, but it's got 5 transistors. So it's all like if you think about it, the signal path is just all transistors, you know. So it has kind of an interesting sound, you know. It like actually just like as a boost without the tremolo running, it sounded kind of good, you know.
Interesting. Okay.
You know,
So
I gotta experiment with it a little bit more. I almost like wish it had like a little more depth, maybe, you know, but it did sound pretty good. And then it kind of does a kind of a good choppy tremolo, you know, because in the square wave mode.
hmm.
And there's no noise too, like you don't hear like the tremolo in the background, like when you're not playing. Like some tremolos, there's kind of some bleed through.
Right.
So it was pretty quiet. It has a little trim pot inside, so you kind of trim out the noise, you know.
Okay. Cool. Thought I had my do not disturb mode on. Sorry. Um, yeah. The only tremolo I have is the Boss. The green one. I think it's called like the TR whatever. The TR80, TR 100, 1000. What's the Boss tremolo called? The TR2.
TR2, nice. Well,
Yeah.
Boss makes some solid stuff.
Oh, they totally do. But it's like I'd like to try some other tremolos. Um,
Yeah,
I do like that on off. Having that 100% depth. So that you get that link ray
yeah,
sound.
yeah. What's the Boss got? Is it like 2 knobs or 3?
It has 3 knobs.
Huh. So what is it like? Rate, depth, and what's the other knob?
Let me grab it. And wave is the other one.
Huh. What does that do? Does it shape the wave, the waveform?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, now it's not plugged in, but
Yeah,
there it is.
nice.
TR2.
TR2. Those are kind of classic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I got mine new, or I don't know. It's in really good shape. Um,
Nice. Hey, did you see that JHS pedal episode
oh yeah.
built
Yeah. I'm glad
the
you brought that up.
where they built the lizard queen?
Yeah. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was actually a really good episode. Like I liked that episode, the whole idea of it.
Yeah.
They built the Electro Harmonics pedal that Electro Harmonics never built, but what they might have built in the 70s. You know?
Right. Yeah. If you haven't seen the video, it's kind of like a
Go
history
check it
lesson
out.
of electroharmonics. And the way that they came up with their pedal ideas, their names, and
Yeah,
the enclosures and the design. Oh, I like the part about the graphic design.
yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is the episode was more about the graphic design than about the electronic side of the pedal, which was a little disappointing. Like I would like to have heard more about the electronics that went into it, you know. But it
Hmm.
was kind of cool they made it, and I actually would really like to find out where they got the boxes. He said
Yeah.
he bought them from this guy. What is it? Now I'm drawing a blank. I'll think of the name in the metal in a moment. Shit, what is it called? It's like a bird's name, and the guy he does like a lot of Big Muff variations.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
I forget the name of his company, but he does like a lot of Big Muffs, and then he lately he's been putting a lot of them in these kind of like electro harmonics Big Muff style cases that are just like two pieces of folded aluminum, you know, or folded steel or something, right? And they look super cool. I wonder where you get those. I'd like to try that. Though these Hammond style boxes work pretty good too. So you know, and they were always good enough for MXR, right?
Hmm. Well, they're
Dunlop.
not
So,
they're not crushable. Um, like they don't dent. There's a lot
yeah,
of good things about those boxes.
yeah. Oh, Wren and Cuff is the name of the company.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw like a little weird documentary about the guy that works there, and he's just really into the Big Muff. Like he talks about like trying to clone his Russian, tall Russian Big Muff, you know. And he's like, yeah, I still, no matter, I measured all the parts and I still can't get it to sound exactly like the original.
Do you think he's one of those golden ear guys? He's just like chasing a tone that's, um,
Maybe, I don't
most
know.
people will never hear.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, you know. I'm always kind of, if it sounds good, I'm into it. It doesn't have to sound the same, but if it sounds good, I'm good, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about guitar tone also. Like people um, obsess over these minuscule differences in tone, but if it sounds good, you're there. You don't need to keep on, you don't need to replicate, Jimmy's Monterey Strat sound from.
yeah, I definitely don't, you know. Um, yeah, you know, and then there's the thing too, like, you know, like what sounds good, right? And so people know what they like, right? But also a lot of times what they like is what they've heard and what people tell them and what group think says is good. But I think
Right.
like a lot of people doing the more original stuff are coming up with their own ideas and they're just like, I think this sounds good and I've never heard it before, you know, and you haven't heard it before either, but I'm going to put it on record so you can, you know, like,
Right.
and I think that's okay, you know, like do your own thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's fun to explore. I've been really um, maybe too much of I've been sheltered. My sonic journey is very sheltered. I've kind of gone for this like surf spaghetti western sound for so long that I don't really think outside of those boxes. And lately I've been listening for kind of more obscure sounds, things that kind of like destroy your tone, your original guitar signal, and make it into something that's very different, like Kevin Shields' sound from My Bloody Valentine.
Like the PMW
Yes, yeah,
or PWM.
yeah. In some
Yeah,
other language, it's probably PMW.
yeah. Uh, the ugly face. You gotta build
Hmm.
yourself the ugly face. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Even that one is sort of like you know what it is. It's kind of a fuzz. But you hear some sounds on records these days that they're pretty hard to pin down. Like is what's happening to that signal electronically to make it sound like that?
well, you know, these days there's so much like post processing and, you know, digital audio workstation plugins and things like that, so who knows what's going on records, and then and now you can have so many tracks too. You have like 30 or 40 tracks,
Right.
on a song, so it's not the same world.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. This week, on my song, I used one of the presets from the experimental section of GarageBand. Let's see if I still have it open. It's um, it's called Cascade, and I don't know what they use to make it. Um,
Hmm. Did you open up the pedal board and look at it?
I'm gonna try to do that.
'Cause they have
Yeah.
that kind of digital pedal board.
No, the only thing that's in the pedal board is the tube burner.
Huh. Weird.
But the amp has, um, yeah, it has just the regular stuff: distortion, filter, echo, and reverb.
Hmm. What's it sound like? What's the sound?
It's can I do this without it being super annoying? Um,
I don't know. Can you? Dude, you just gave me an idea. I'm gonna get experimental. I gotta do this.
all right, so you hear that? It's a lot of delay, and it seems like it's got an envelope.
Nice. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna go check out that section. I always just go with the stock ones. What's funny is I find like the section that's crunch guitar is gets pretty distorted.
Yeah,
And then when you get into distorted guitar, it's like really distorted. Like I don't like the distortion set of presets, right? But the crunch set usually is enough distortion for me.
right. Yeah, I looked at one of those today, and it sounded like they were really going after the brown sound. It's like that's not where I go to when I'm trying to find a distortion sound.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the heavy distortion sounds aren't heavy the way I picture heavy. I don't know what. I don't know what I don't know. I get better sounds from the pedals than from some of their heavy distortion things. Maybe I got to experiment though, because maybe like I'm used to using the pedals, like so I know how to tweak the knobs and whatnot, but I don't tweak the knobs so much in GarageBand. Maybe that's the thing I got to start doing.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like using an SLR. Like when you really get into uh, trying to tweak the sounds to get specifically what you're looking for. It can be a little bit frustrating, and there's a wide margin of error. Whereas like my pedals, I know what they're gonna do, and they always sound good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. But maybe that's a thing. Like you just got the GarageBand is kind of an instrument, and you have to learn to to manipulate it and play it.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, even GarageBand itself, just as a DAW, can be sort of frustrating. Today, I was like fighting GarageBand a lot with like the length of my segments. Like it was having a hard time. I was having a hard time keeping things looping. Um, and then when I finally mixed down my song, it ignored the automation track on the drums, so that it has the same dumb like tom beating intro that all of my songs do. I was trying to mix it out, and
Yeah.
it remained.
Yeah. The problem I have with GarageBand is if I'm sitting downstairs, like I'll pick up the guitar and then I'm trying to manipulate GarageBand, but I'm playing the guitar, it doesn't work. Sometimes in the morning, what I do is I get the computer from downstairs and I'll be sitting upstairs. There's no guitar, and I'll just be playing I'll be just going over the GarageBand tracks and listening to them and adjusting things. And so like if I don't have the guitar, it's not distracting me from like the controls in GarageBand. I'm listening more.
Hmm.
So I got to make that a thing that I do more often, is just dedicate an hour or 2 or 3 to just, you know, producing in GarageBand.
Yeah, well, I have found that focus is really essential for doing stuff. Like if I have, um, I don't know. I mean, I should probably just have like a separate part of my apartment where I just work on music because I'm always distracted by other things. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, writing music. Um, you can't do anything else while you're doing it. You can't watch a movie
Yeah,
without
I know, I
music.
know. I've tried. Yeah. So anyway, so that was this week. You know, yeah, so what are you gonna do? You got any plans for next week? What's your project for next week?
Well, it's the same project that I've had for the previous 2 weeks. I'm gonna commit to one of those schematics for the Mustang and just get it together. Um, and additionally, I'm going to do a demo of replacing the bone nut on my tester guitar, or replacing the plastic nut with the bone nut, and see if I can
Hmm.
get that thing to sound good before plugging in. I mean, getting it to sound good while it's in your hands, not just while it's plugged in.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that sounds totally reasonable, right? It's good strategy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? What are you going to work on this week?
Well, I got this tremolo working, so I'm gonna update the circuit board and then try and get some more circuit boards that are correct printed. Um, and then I did a build, like a video where I built a pedal, like, and I just filmed the process, and I
Hmm.
think I'm going to do another one of those, and I'll just build one of those other circuit boards that I have. And then I ordered some parts, and I'm going to try and build this PWM pedal, build a official one. I built one, but I just put it in a metal box because it was the first one through, so it didn't get a colored box, so
But you're going to build it. I mean, the other one you built with a breadboard, right?
no, I built it with one of these circuit boards
Okay.
and it worked. So I was like, oh, great. So I'm going to build another one of those, but I'll do a nicer box this time. But
Excellent.
I'm waiting on some parts. I got to get the parts for this. I don't have all the parts yet, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. And then maybe I'll try and get around to putting that pick guard on the Strat, So maybe I'll
Yeah,
do
that'll
that
be
too.
exciting to have that, you know, have that thing ready to rock.
Maybe
That's going
it'll
to be a
maybe
good
it'll
update.
inspire my song next week too.
Right.
Song needs some inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hey, what'd you listen to this week? Any music?
I did. Yeah. I listened to a lot of music. Um, uh, Now this is a good one. I actually bought it on Bandcamp. It's this woman Frankie Rose does a cover of the whole album 17 Seconds by The Cure.
Oh, cool.
And it's very faithful. Like when you listen to each song, about 10 seconds in you're like, "Oh, I think this is a cover." But until she starts singing, it's sometimes hard to tell. So it's really cool.
Oh, cool. That sounds pretty good. Maybe I'll check. Is it on Bandcamp?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on
Awesome. I'll check
Bandcamp.
it out.
I also listened to uh, the drummer um, Mark Juliana. He's a jazz drummer who lives in New York. Who he played on David Bowie's Black Star album, his group, and he has some kind of electronic. Well, it's an electronic like kind of analog synthesizer project, and he's playing drums. I think it might just be him, doing everything, and that was really cool. He has a
Well,
bunch
that
of
sounds pretty
albums
good.
out.
I'll check that out. Send it to me.
All right, yeah, that's also on Bandcamp.
Nice.
How about you? What you listen to?
Uh, what did I listen to? I listened to some Fu Manchu,
Nice.
kind of a throwback, but
Hmm.
I like me some Fu Manchu. So I listened to some Fu Manchu. What else did I listen to? There's something else there. I forget now. But I listened to Fu Manchu. They published a couple new albums to Bandcamp, so I listened to those records. One of them was the soundtrack to Dog Boys and Z Town, or no, it was
Oh,
Dogtown and Z Boys or something like that.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the movie, but they did part of the soundtrack. So at least I think they did part. Maybe they did the whole thing. I don't know, right? But
Yeah. I don't.
this
I may have
album
seen the
was
movie.
the what?
I may have seen the movie back in the day, but
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
yeah.
But this was like kind of the songs from the soundtrack, right? And they just made like kind of like a short album on Bandcamp, you know. And then they published another album too that was like a live album, like some live recording that they did. So I listened to that. It was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, they kind of a thing, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of cool. They're not like the Rolling Stones big, but they're big enough where they're making a living like doing music, which is kind of cool, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I think they have kind of a unique sound, you know, right?
Yeah. Actually, my boss was listening to Fu Manchu the other week, and it's inspired me. I listened to a little bit myself. It's good stuff. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Good at work.
Is it good for work? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
People.
not too fast, right? So,
Right. Right.
you know, it's kind of slower, right? A little sludgy. You want to be sludgy at work. You don't want to, you know, punk rock bad for work.
Right. Right.
Work doesn't deserve punk rock. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, it seems like punk rock. You just be raging all day, and it would tire you out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to pace yourself, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, cool. Hey, any final words for today?
No, no. I just want to thank our audience for checking in with us yet again. All 12 of you. Appreciate your views, and
Yeah,
we'll keep on doing these. And
yeah,
we've got some ideas in store for
for
the year of the
TikTok.
tiger. We're gonna make this channel really into something.
Nice. Okay.